Alright, here is your Havoc Demon Hunter quick start guide for the Dragonflight Prepatch. I'm going to try to keep this as bite-sized and to the point as possible so you can get going right away when you log in for Prepatch. So, what are we keeping? We're keeping Covenant abilities, Soulbinds and Conduits, and Legendaries. Now, some things are going to be a little messed up when you log in on Tuesday. There's going to be some weird overlaps, things like that. Nothing to worry about, though. All of those weird interactions will be either fixed or they just won't work. A lot of the conduits have been nerfed to the ground, so there's really nothing that you need to worry about. And what are we losing? We are losing tier set bonuses, which is fine because ours sucked and everyone else's was good. So it's our time to shine. And what are we gaining? We are getting brand new talent trees. These talent trees are giving us access to 3 out of 4 of the Covenant abilities that we've had throughout SHADOWLANDS, as well as the potential to combine many of the extremely powerful things we've had as Havoc Demon Hunters dating all the way back to Legion. We'll be going over these talent builds later in the video, so make sure you stick around. Some important things to know: our stat priority has changed. We are no longer haste monkeys and we actually get proper scaling from our stats. What you want to look for now is gear with crit and mastery on it. Crit is incredibly good for a couple reasons. The first one is critical chaos. The chance that Chaos Strike will refund 20 Fury is increased by 50% of your critical strike chance. The second is know your enemy. Gain critical strike damage equal to 100% of your critical strike chance. Now, crit damage is usually 200% of your normal attacks, so double the amount. If you add know your enemy, let's say you have 50% crit, you're adding 50% crit damage onto that 250, so now your critical strikes are doing 250% increased damage. And let's not forget, in Prepatch, we are still going to have the Season 4 seasonal affix Shrouded to give us a bunch of crit if we so choose. So with those two talents, not only is crit giving us actual crit strike chance, but it's also increasing our Fury generation and increasing our critical strike damage. What does our mastery do? It increases our chaos damage by whatever amount of mastery we have. So if we have 40% mastery, it's going to increase any ability that causes chaos damage by 40%. This has gone from being our absolute worst stat to one of our best. Right away at the top of our spec tree is the newly designed First Blood, which makes the first hit of Blade Dance do chaos damage. Immediately, this gives us a good reason to press Blade Dance again. And just a side note on this talent, when used strictly on single target, it converts all 4 hits of Blade Dance into chaos damage. It's just because of the way that the ability is coded. Let's not get into it. Don't ask, don't tell. I-Beam is also chaos damage, and with the target soft cap increased to 5 targets from 1, it's doing way more damage than it used to. This is also affected by that crit talent that we spoke about earlier, Know Your Enemy. And last but definitely not least, we have the talent Any Means Necessary, which converts any arcane, fire, frost, nature, or shadow damage into chaos damage, which then means it's being amplified by our mastery. So abilities like the Hunt, Immolation Aura, Burning Wound, Elysian Decree, Fell Devastation from Collective Anguish, and if all goes according to plan, Sinful Brand will all be converted to chaos damage. So with all this in mind, if you're really trying to min-max the pre-patch, you're probably going to want to recraft your legendaries with crit and mastery on them instead. Don't forget, you can break down your current legendaries at the Rune Carver to get some resources back, which you can then use to create these new legendaries. By the way, if you're enjoying this content and you want to support me in what I do, the best way you can do that is through Patreon. Once you sign up, you'll get special perks in Discord, some access to some really awesome Demon Hunter merch, and you'll get your name at the end of future videos. It's the best way that you can support me and feel confident that the money you're putting forth is actually going to me. Unlike other platforms where they actually take a very, very large cut, Patreon takes very little. So if you enjoy what I'm doing, consider checking out the Patreon in the description below. Okay, now the information that everyone is literally foaming at the mouth to get. I'm not going to go into crazy detail as to why each choice was made in these builds. I'll be making individual videos on all of these builds by themselves, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel and check back to see those. So let me rip off this band-aid quick. We are going to be playing Venthyr, but before you freak out and you start considering re-rolling, wait, I have to tell you something. We're going to be playing Collective Anguish and Dark Glare at the same time, meaning Sinful Brand uptime is literally going to be a non-issue. So this is your class tree. You won't have to worry about this one much because it'll mostly go unchanged. The only thing you may change is Demonic or First of the Illidari. That's dependent on whether Sinful Brand is actually converted into chaos damage. If it is, we might play a 2-minute meta build, but otherwise just assume that you're going to be playing Demonic. So this is your single target raid build. This essentially plays like the classic Havoc Demon Hunter you know and love, but with a twist. You have big demonic uptime with I-beams, you are pressing Blade Dance, you're pressing Annihilation, both of which count towards Cycle of Hatred now, by the way. You're spending your Unbound Chaos procs, and you're trying to proc Initiative with Vengeful Retreat. You're going to press Vengeful Retreat approximately every 20 seconds, and once you do that, you can use Fell Blade, Fell Rush, or even use the Hunt to get back into melee range. You know, you can use Vengeful Retreat, and while you're in the air, start the Hunt channel, and you'll be right back in melee range in a second. The legendary you're going to use with this build is Dark Glare. Again, you're going to recraft it with Crit and Mastery on it. Oh, and you'll be using Fodder to the Flame. I do have a really sweet weak aura that'll help you out with that. The link to that will be in the description. Okay, now the AoE and Mythic Plus build is a bit more interesting, but honestly a bit more controversial. The class side of the tree should look mostly the same as the previous build. The only difference, like I mentioned earlier, is taking first of the Illidari instead of Demonic. This has insane potential with Sinful Brand, but this might only really be useful if, in fact, Sinful Brand is modified by any means necessary. If not, we'll likely still just play Demonic. Now the spec tree is where things kind of go off the rails. We're going all the way down the right side, taking every Immolation Aura talent, including Ragefire, and every Throw Glaive talent that we pass by. So yeah, this means we're pressing Throw Glaive rotationally now. It'll take some getting used to, but as long as you're not overcapping on 2 charges, you'll be fine. Now here's the juice. You're going to be using Fell Bombardment as your legendary. Remember when young Jedith told you to craft Fell Bombardment at the start of the expansion? The legendary effect you're going to want to get first is Fell Bombardment.
Fell Bombardment.
Okay, I was wrong back then, but this is my redemption arc. This legendary is absolutely insane in combination with all of the Throw Glaive talents that we get on the right side of the tree. Like I mentioned, I'll be giving this build its own video in the future, but essentially what you want to do is press Immolation Aura, get 5 stacks of Fell Bombardment, press Vengeful Retreat, then press Throw Glaive, and just watch a whole barrage of glaives get thrown at your target. Then just carry on spending your Unbound Chaos charges, extending Sinful Brand with I-Beam, and maximizing your demonic windows. Now, as a bonus build, I'm going to throw this one in. It's an Essence Break Momentum build. This is pretty similar to what you've probably seen me play over on beta. I have a feeling not a lot of you are going to like this because, you know, there's this thing going on right now where momentum is the devil, but I promise you it's really not that bad. Again, I'll be making another video on this, trying to explain to you why momentum isn't what you think it is anymore. By the way, the TLDR of that video is you don't have to press Fell Rush now to keep good momentum uptime. But here it is. I-Beam to get into Demonic, Vengeful Retreat, and Essence Break at the same time. Vengeful Retreat is not only proccing momentum, but it's also proccing Initiative. You're going to get back in with either a Fell Rush or a Fell Blade, or you can even use the Hunt if you want. And your main goal is to maximize that Essence Break window. So inside of that Essence Break window, you definitely want to get a Death Sweep and then as many Annihilations as you can. Before your Essence Break comes back off cooldown again, you're going to be able to fit 1 more Vengeful Retreat in, which means you'll be able to proc Initiative 1 more time. So you're going to cycle between Essence Break, Vengeful Retreat, and then a Vengeful Retreat just on its own. So you do that, and then you rinse and repeat. Those are the 3 builds that I'd suggest playing with. Of course, they are all subject to change, but if that happens, I'll make sure to update you with the latest and greatest. Have fun in pre-patch, and a big thank you goes out to my patrons for supporting. See you in Dragonflight.